welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well. Today we're going to tie a dry fly, and it is a hare's ear olive merger. Now in the vise I have a size 16 dry fly hook, and I'm tying with 10/0 beige thread. I'm going to start this just a little bit back from the eye, tie on the thread and trim up the excess. Right, now for the shuck or the tail, I'm going to use some silk, and this is a Gutmann silk number 431. I'm just going to snip a short piece off. Now this comes in 3 strands, and I'm only going to use one, so I'll separate the 3 strands just by twisting it and take one strand out and tie that in at the thorax area and bind it down the length of the hook shank to the rear of the fly, like so. I'll trim up the excess at the thorax area and the length of the shuck not longer than the length of the fly, so something like that. And I'm just going to brush out the fibres to widen the shuck, like so. Right, now for the body of the fly, I'm going to take a little bit of natural hare's ear, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive hare's ear. Not a lot, just enough to change the hue of the hare's ear, just to give it a slight green tint. Just pull it together to create the mixture. Right, I'll dab this on. Now you don't need a big noodle for this. Try and thin this out. Try and make it as thin as possible. Take some of this away and try and keep it as tight as possible. So I'll wind that on, keeping it tight. Up the hook shank to create the body of the fly. Up to the thorax area. Now I'm going to wind this through the hare's ear to tighten it up, and it also thins down the body just a little. Pull back these fibres and tidy up. Right, now for the wing of the fly, I'm going to use one standard CDC feather. It doesn't really matter about the colour as long as it's not too dark. And I'm going to tie that in on top. Now note that it is the curve going upwards that you're looking for, and I'm going to pull that through. In pulling it through, I don't want it longer than the length of the tail. So something like that, and I'll tie that down and trim up the excess. Let's tidy up here. Right, now I am going to add a little more of the dubbing for a thorax. Again, not a lot. That is sufficient. And I'm going to pull over the wing, and at the same time I'm going to create a bubble and tie down the CDC and pull back the wing, the CDC wing, and tie it down. I'm just going to tie off the fly using a half hitch tool. Like so. I'm going to trim up the tying thread. And I'm going to put just a dab of glue onto the knot just to secure it. Won't need a lot. That is sufficient. And make sure that the eye is clear. Let's just have a look at the fly from here. So a few extra long fibres there, and a few extra long fibres there. And I'm just going to brush out slightly the thorax. And there you have the finished fly. Now, I haven't separated the wings. The center stem at the point of the feather is quite flexible, and really there's no need to cut it out. And of course the silk will take on a little bit of water, which will lift it at the front and drop it slightly at the back of the fly into the surface of the water. This is a great little emerger, and really can work well for both rainbows and for brown trout. Of course, that bubble behind the wing of the CDC will also help its flotation. Hope you enjoyed the tying. Don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and do become a subscriber and hit that bell for notifications. And I will see you in the very next video. Thanks for viewing. Bye.